Hey everybody, we are live. We are in the middle of finishing this up, so I don't want to miss anything. That's why we're 2 minutes late. We are really close. I was going to wait until we were done, but I figured we were already a few minutes late, so we would finish up live. We're doing it live. Hey Laura, and whoever else is out there are lurking. Oh, we'll give my mom a tug just in case she's watching. Winston, how are you? We are almost done, so give me one more moment here. We're going to put this hose away, and then we were going to be done. So this end is already at the black plastic, and we're just waiting for the line to go all the way to the other end, and we will be finished. We did a water change on the discus tank tonight, so we'll see that here shortly. Zany, stay. Oh, you're already back from Maine? Wow, that was fast. Shit, I forgot there's a bucket behind me. We almost took a swim. All right, everybody, let me go shut this water off, and then we'll be able to relax for the evening once I get this hose taken out of here. All right, water is turned off. So I will show you what we did in this tank when we get around to it. It's not a lot. I wiped the glass down. We did a big water change to get the water nice and cleared up. The main thing I did was, if you remember a while ago, I had that big batch of Java Windelov that had been growing on the top of that piece of wood. Well, I just yanked all that out of there. I threw some of it in the 125 down there. I don't know if you can see it or not. If you can see this big sort of clump that's sort of stuck at the end of the Anubias, that's all Java Windelov. The fish will eat it. It'll just get munched up. I just threw it in there to be fish food because I'm going to throw it away otherwise. I don't really do the plant. I haven't sold plants in God knows how long. My buckets over there are all full of algae and nastiness. And so I'm just going to shut all that down and dump all those buckets out and get rid of them. They're a pain in the ass. They're all sitting right in front of where the dryer lid folds down, and then like the buckets are on the floor right in front of it. And my wife says every single time she does laundry, at least one article of her clothing falls into one of those fucking buckets and gets wet, and she has to throw it back in the dirty laundry. Hey, gamer, how are you? Oh, thank you, Laura. So she is going to be quite happy to see all of that shit over there go. So I think we're going to shut down all of my grow buckets and whatnot. Um, but that's a story for another time. What I did do was pull that out of there. At first, I threw it in the pond, but I know it'll get stuck in the filter, in the pump for the waterfall. So I pulled it back out as much as I could find anyway. It broke into pieces. Again, some of it went into 125 as fish food, and a lot of it went into my tank that I reset up in here. If you remember, not long ago, I got say hello to Uma, everybody. Um, this tank that was in here leaked. Well, I had another 10-gallon, and so I set it up new. No duckweed in this one, and there was nothing in it. I do have shrimp in there, but I didn't. It was just nothing in it. No cover, no place for them to hide, really. So that gave me a good reason to throw some plants in there rather than just throw them away. I now have something I can do with them. So that's where all that Java went. Otherwise, the other thing we're doing, and I've been doing this all the live long day, is filtering this pond. So I got the bucket in there, and we've got the filter going. I think I've done this 5 or 6 cycles now. Let's see how we're doing. It's getting to the point where, yeah, it's been running for a while now, and it's not very dirty. So I know the water looks dirty, but that's really stirred up dirty. And, well, you can't really see it, but it's because of the camera. Hang on, let me take you off the tripod here. That was not a good idea to try to do all that. So if you look in there closely, you can see rocks and stuff on the bottom, and that's what it really stirred up. Not only have the fish got it all stirred up, but I've been in there all day swooshing everything around, like digging back in the corners and really getting this, mucked up so that it gets pumped out, gets pumped through there, and then, filters back into the tank. So we're going to feed the tank again. I've already fed it lightly twice today because the fish really do get it good and stirred up when the food goes in there. But what we're going to do is we're going to, I guess we'll start by putting the camera down at this end so you can look back on the tank a little bit better. See it from over here. I don't know how much you're going to be able to see fish-wise, but you'll be able to see into the pond a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to feed it with the sinking pellets, and then that way that'll get them down rooting around on the bottom, and that'll get everything all stirred up and whatnot. And that's the idea. So we're going to let it flow probably most of the evening since we're down here. May as well until it's not really, worth it anymore because nothing's really happening. All right, I can get this closed. I guess let me get some deadly poisonous Windex and get the front of that tank wiped down. Oh man, I got so busy doing stuff before we got started going live that I completely forgot to bring in my mushroom light and my rainbow light. I guess we can live without them tonight. I'm not too worried about it. What was I going to say? Oh, I never did get my mushrooms. They're still in transit, but don't worry, they're just running late. They're still on the way. But the last update was they left someplace in Texas on the 14th is the last update. And so I'm not expecting, I'm going to give it another day or two. And if I don't get them by then, I'm just going to assume I'm not getting them. However, my other package is due to arrive tomorrow. It actually left Linthicum Heights, which is the big distribution center not far from here. Once it leaves Linthicum Heights, it comes to my local post office. So if it already left Linthicum Heights this morning, it'll be at my post office by tomorrow morning and should go out for delivery unless something, wacky happens between now and tomorrow. So tomorrow I should get my big 60-gram bag of the mushroom caps, the Amanita muscaria caps. So whether that syrup ever shows up or not, I'll have a big ass bag of those caps to start experimenting with. And I've been doing a lot of watching videos and reading articles, and there's a lot of information out there. And so clearly I'm going to have to do my own experimenting with it, but I'm excited. I'm looking forward to experimenting with it. The main difference is going to be whether or not I decarboxylate it before I take it, or I take it with all of the ibutonic acid intact. Or do I find some blend somewhere in the middle that I like, that leaves some of the acid intact, but also decarboxylates it a little bit so it's not so acidic. So I'm interested to look into all that, and we can talk about that at some point if you'd all like. Wow, it's looking weird when I look in the monitor. We're looking at everything from the wrong angle. It's throwing my brain out of whack. All right, let me see where I was. All right, there's my stop sign from Laura. Gamer, hello. It's party time. Arc Knight, you're here. I guess it was Wednesday you said you're not going to be here. I do remember you said you weren't going to be around for a bit. I thought you were starting this weekend. Send you plants. What kind of plants do you want? Hey, Hamilton, how are you? Yeah, sleeping an extra, getting good amount, proper sleep is important. That's why all doctors everywhere say get the proper amount of sleep is important. Why don't I water my plants with fish water? It's a pain in the ass. Hey, Kane, how are you this evening? Right, Wednesday, maybe Friday. Gotcha. Zini. I didn't trash any plants. I threw some in for fish food, which I don't consider trash, and then I threw most of the rest of them in for my snails to have a place to live and hide and feel sheltered and comfort. And I don't see that as being trashed either. But if I do have plants that I'm literally going to just throw away, if I've got any that are worth doing something with, I'll let you know. Usually, it's just a few little pieces of this and a few handfuls of that. The kind of stuff that I would have thrown before, I would have thrown it in my grow out tank, knowing that it'll eventually be large enough that someday when somebody's asking for some of this stuff, I'll have some. But today, it's just a little piece of it, and so it's going in the trash. That's kind of what I'm talking about. I generally don't throw away large handfuls of, that's why I didn't throw that big handful of Java window lava away. I couldn't bring myself to throw something like that in the trash. That'd break my heart. That would just feel wrong. It'd be like throwing a book in the trash. Making an enclosure, nice. Some stuff. I'll thin out here pretty soon. I got a lot of crypto that I'm probably going to need to thin out soon because I got galore. That shit grows every damn where. I ate a lot of cookies too. Last night. This fucking cracked me up. I laughed so hard, and so did my wife. Um, I ate 5 cookies last night. I almost made myself sick getting them down because they taste so bad. They're really strong. And my cookies don't get made with weed. They get made with like my reclaim, which is all oily and it does not taste good at all. And so when you get up to where you're making it like the cookies are strong, the cookies no longer like making chocolate chip cookies. It's starting to get that sort of brownish color to it from the reclaim rather than that cookie color. That's when you're getting up into like really strong cookies, but you're also getting up into really strong flavor. And I'm in that crossover zone where the cookies are really strong, but you can also really taste that reclaim stuff in there, and it's not good. Um, so anyway, I forced myself to eat 5 of them last night because I was expecting to have a nice fun mushroom Saturday night, but my syrup never arrived. It's lost in the mail, so I made the most of it, and I figured, what the fuck, I'll just eat a bunch of those cookies. I'll eat 5 cookies and see what that does to me. That should be a pretty good substitute. Wrong. It was definitely not a good substitute for tripping. So I ate 5 cookies, and they hit me like a ton of fucking sleep aid bricks. And I was just like, oh my God. I felt like I was like a bobblehead. I couldn't hold my head up. I was just like, oh Jesus, I need to sleep. And so I went upstairs. It was only like 8 o'clock at this point. They just kicked in all at once, apparently. And I went upstairs. I'm getting messaged by somebody. I wonder if it's important. Um, I went upstairs. I shuffled into the uh, living room where my wife was sitting in there watching TV, and I just kind of stood there with my head kind of hanging down or whatever. And she looked at me for a minute, and she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I ate 5 cookies," and she just burst out laughing. And she said, "And are you proud of yourself?" Oh God, I just died. So I said, "Well, yeah, kinda." And then I shuffled back downstairs. I made it till about 10 o'clock before I got into my nest, and man, it just kicked my ass. So tonight I ate 3 cookies. I spread them out because I'm getting so grossed out by the flavor of them. Just even eating one is getting difficult at this point. Um, okay, I know what that was from. I just got a message from somebody. I was like, where the fuck did that come from? And now I get it. Never mind. That was personal. Um, yeah. So anyway, that cracked me up. Are you all right? Hey, Mike and Bop, how are you? Christopher, how are you? New name, I see. Old fashioned whiskey. Hey, JP, got all kind of people here that I didn't know were stopping in. Let's see. There we go. Let's see. Any plans to keep another pufferfish? Not at the moment, but you never know. I wouldn't say no to that, but I don't have any at the moment. Yeah, I was wondering enclosure for what as well there, Bob. It's old fashioned whiskey, JP. Hello, hello. Kane, I said hello. Well, I will forgive you this time for missing it, Christopher. That sounds like you had a good excuse. There you go, Zini. Simpatico. I really don't know what to tell you there, Anna. Maybe try salting the tank, turning the temperature up a little bit warmer than that, a little like 85. A lot of times, though, when you have fungus or bacteria, turning the temperature up makes it worse. So be careful with that. That's all I'm really going to say with that. I really don't know what else to tell you. All right, let's see. Fish guy, hello. John, hello. Cornish, hello. I do need a big group of puffers. That would be awesome. Well, cool temps can be bad for the fish. Oh, thank you, Mike. Cool temperatures can be bad for the fish because it will weaken the fish's immune system. But as far as bacterial growth and fungal growth and stuff like that, cooler temperatures are usually bad. That's why hospitals are always so chilly and your refrigerator's cold, and it always slows that kind of growth down. You get up into those warmer temperatures, and it really speeds it up. One of the reasons I never get my tanks over 80 degrees is you're just potentially asking for problems that you wouldn't otherwise have just because stuff doesn't grow at those lower temperatures. You get up into those tropical temperatures, up into the 80s, and now you got all kind of shit that can grow in your tank because the temperatures are right. And so I always tend to keep my tanks a little on the lower side without going too low for the fish. So 78, 79 degrees, something like that would be a lower temperature for a bacteria, but wouldn't be a lower temperature for a fish. Once you get up into 82, 83 degrees, you're usually getting, maybe not every single species in the world or whatever, but generally speaking, when you get up into the 80s, you're getting into more favorable temperatures for, bacterial growth or fungal growth even. All right, so thank you again, Mike. Appreciate that. Ugahorn, your own Mazda 3. Nice. Your Mazda 3 comes almost from the same lineage as my favorite car. My favorite car, well, I don't know if it's my favorite car, but it's my go-to answer when everybody says, "What's your dream car?" Somebody asked me the other night. It is the OG. It is the grandfather of all of the Zs, the classic legendary 280Z, the 300Z, the new 400Z. That's not really the 400Z, but they just kind of call it that. I think it's just called Z. All of them trace their lineage back to the original Datsun 240Z. One of my favorite cars ever. Love that car. And the new 340Z they came out and they did as an homage to the original 240, and they did a really good job. I really, really like that one too. It looks so good as far as being modernized while being very true to its roots. I really, really like that 340Z. Yeah, I would go with Christopher's advice and get the antifungal medication if you've got what looks like a fungal infection on the fish. If the Icex didn't help, I would go directly for an antifungal. Other than that, I really don't know what to tell you. Oh, I'll be up for doing something tomorrow, Steve. My big ass bag of mushrooms coming tomorrow. Possibly my syrup is coming tomorrow. So you're welcome to come over and hang out. Or we can go out on the water and we can do something. My shoulder's still bothering me. I haven't been kayaking in 600 years. But one of these days I will get out there again. Maybe tomorrow we can putz around a little bit, old man style. Yeah, good luck. I hope we figured it out for you. Well, an Ugo horn on a 79 El Camino sounds about right. All right, where are you guys? You're over there. I'm still doing this. That tank is done. The water's put away. All right, my cookies are whooping my ass again tonight too. I made them really strong this time. Definitely not a substitute for. Here, let me turn this light off. I can turn this off and still filter. Definitely not a substitute for the mushrooms. I've been watching some interesting videos today about the different chemicals that are in the mushrooms and the difference between decarbing it and just doing it without decarbing it, making tea out of it. It's been interesting. I will definitely say if anybody does come across these mushrooms in the wild or something, don't ever eat them fresh. The very, very least, you want to make sure you've thoroughly dried them. When they are fresh, they have a lot of the ibutonic acid in them, and it would be way too much. You'll get sick if you eat as much of it as is in there when they're fresh. If you dry it out, the drying process, the time it takes, it will decarboxylate a lot of that. And when it decarboxylates, it breaks it down from the ibutonic acid to the mucimol, which is the better chemical out of the two. But there's a lot of discussion out there about this ibutonic acid, and the way they talk about it is that's the stuff that makes it a bad experience, or that's the stuff that can make you sick. And so you really want to decarb it, and you really want to, but at the same time, the way they talk about it, and I say they, it's just all these different articles I've read, YouTube videos I watched. I almost get the impression the bad stuff they talk about is like the trippy effect, the stuff I want, that buzzy, spacey effect, and that sort of disassociation effect, and visuals and whatnot. That seems to come from there. The mucimol seems to give you that sense of peace and well-being and relaxation. It helps you sleep. Um, so I think it's going to be a blend of a little bit of the ibutonic acid still in there and the mucimol. But I'm going to do it both ways. It's easy enough to decarb it. All you got to do is, if you want it with the ibutonic acid still intact, you can just make a lower temperature tea and don't use any acidic like lemon, and just make a lower temperature tea with water, and that will extract it all. If you want to decarb it, put some lemon juice in it and just make it regular tea, like just at a low simmer at boiling temperature, and that boiling temperature is enough to decarb it for like 20 minutes, and then pour it off and strain it and everything, and you've got decarbed, mushroom tea. So I'm going to try it both ways and see what the difference is, and maybe it'll, maybe I like it somewhere in between. I'll put it in cold water for about 20 minutes, and then I'll boil it for two, just to decarb it a little, and then, see if that has a different effect. So I'm interested in messing around with it, and you can buy the shit really cheap. I was thinking about it the other night when I was talking about it. I was saying that it's unregulated. It's treated the same as like beetroot powder or echinacea, flour or whatever. It's a supplement, so it's not regulated at all. And I thought, well, if it's not regulated, like I should be able to just buy it, right? Like, why am I spending all this money on this expensive chocolate and syrup and whatnot? I should be able to just buy the mushrooms, right? And sure enough, you can. I looked them up, and I found a whole lot of people that sell them. And I bought 60 grams for $50, and then another $5 in shipping. So $55 total. I'm getting 60 grams in the mail tomorrow, and 3 to 5 grams should be a pretty significant experience. I'm thinking I'm probably going to start with 1 to 2 grams maybe and see what that does. I can always drink a little more. Again, I know enough to start slow and work my way up. You don't start with like, hey, well, they said 3 grams, I can handle 7. That's never a good idea. If they say 1 to 3, start at 1 or 2, and you can always go up from there. So my experiments shall begin tomorrow. All right, let me get caught up on some comments here. No, I don't have that old waterfall tank. Let me get back to where I was if I got some stop signs somewhere. There we go. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Zini, for the car stop signs. All right. It's supposed to be cooler tomorrow, too. Nice. Do not have the old waterfall tank. I took that down a couple years ago. We got the goldfish pond, which we are still filtering. Yes, my mushroom grow kit is in the other room. We are now 1 week in. Hang on a second here. Yeah, that'd be a small charge, all right. What is it exactly that I purchased? I went to a website. Well, most websites, if you go looking for, if somebody could stop signing me, please. Did you send it? Did you text it to me, Laura? Or did you Discord it to me? If you texted it to me, I'll have to go get my phone. When I started looking around for magic mushroom to grow, every place I found was you buy the bag from us, and the bag comes, pre-prepared. It's got the medium, and it's all sterilized. All you got to do is inject the spores. Not included, but we'll give you a list of places where you can buy spores. And so it was always this, you had to purchase 2 things from 2 places. The place I went to, I want to say it's MN Mushrooms or Minnesota Mushrooms. I'll look at my email in a minute and I'll see what it says. We can look at the site. But you can buy a starter kit, and it allows you to pick the type of grow bag you want. You can buy the standard size 3-pound, or do what I did, and for like $8 more, you can get the large 5-pound bag. And then you can also pick what spore you want to grow. And it's like a mix and match thing. So you basically select your starter kit. You select the size bag you want, you select the spores you want, and then when you check out, it says, okay, Now, your spores do still come from a different location, but you don't have to worry about any of that. It just ships from a different location. You're going to get two shipping notifications and all that, but all my stuff is supposed to be arriving tomorrow, and I ordered it last Thursday afternoon, and it's already going to be here Monday. Um, so it won't come as one package, but you also don't have to like order it from two different places. You just order what you want, and it shows up. And so I got the golden teacher because that is supposed to be an easy to grow starter mushroom. It's also a good starter mushroom for people. It's a gentle mushroom. You're not likely to have a bad trip or an overly intense experience. And that's fine for me. I'm not looking for, Mondo super experience. First one out of the gate. Let's see what we do with the golden teachers, and we can go from there. Um, but it should be really interesting. So I got the kit and I followed all the instructions, and basically you take the spores and you inject some of them into the bottom part of the bag that has like a grain looking material in it. It almost looks like a cross between rice and barley. And then it's got a bunch of like what looks like real heavy potting soil mix, but like real heavy on the manure. And so you inject it in there and then you set it down, leave it alone. You put it in a dark area. I've got it in a cardboard box closed up in the other room. You got to keep it fairly warm and you let it sit there for 2 or 3 weeks. And we are 1 week in. So we've still got at least a week before we can even check it. So ideally, when we check it, we're going to find a big clump of white mycelium growing around the injection port. If we do, we will then break that all up and mix it all around and just shake the bag up and basically mix all that mycelium through the medium. And then we put it back in the box. We let it sit for 2 more weeks. And by then, that mycelium should be growing all through the medium. And then we can begin the fruiting or flowering or whatever you want to call it process. They call it flushing. So I guess technically we'll call it the flushing process, where you actually get the fruiting body to come out, the actual mushrooms themselves. So we're still 5 weeks minimum away from getting mushrooms, if it works. So we'll see if that works or not. I don't know. Thank you, Zini and Laura. You texted it to me. All right, let me go get my phone. It's right in the other room. It's not a big deal. Let's see. Yeah, these are one of the more gentle cubensis species. I'm really interested to mess around with these Amanita muscaria. Well, the tea. Somebody wants to stop sign me again. The tea is a little different for if I'm making the actual magic mushroom tea out of like the mushrooms I'm growing, the ones that have psilocybin in them. Those I will make with cold water and a little bit of lemon juice. I've already done that. I know how to make that tea. With the Amanita muscaria that I'm getting tomorrow, the legal mushrooms that give you that weird sort of pseudo trip. It's not really a trip. It just sort of feels kind of spacey and nice and super relaxing. And it's a really pleasant experience, but it's definitely not the same as a psilocybin mushroom trip. That has a chemical in it that can be altered depending on how you make it into tea. And so I will be experimenting with doing it both ways. I'm going to try doing it with cold water at first, and we'll do a full extraction. We'll get all the ibutonic acid and so on and so forth. I'm really curious how the chocolate and the syrup and all that stuff's prepared, because they say it's a proprietary blend of extracts and blah blah blah. So they specially prepare it. So I'm wondering if it's not a mix of some of the ibutonic acid, but just enough to give it just that right buzzy kind of feel. Because whatever they did, they fucking nailed it with that stuff. And I'm really hoping I can sort of recapitulate that experience with when I make the tea out of the stuff that's supposed to be here tomorrow. Because that's a really nice experience, or at least I hope my bottle shows up. Because if my tea doesn't work out, I hope I can still have some of that bottle to drink. Again, it's a really, really nice experience from that chocolate and that syrup. But again, you can find the mushrooms themselves if you just do a search for Amanita muscaria for sale. If you do magic mushrooms for sale, you'll find all the stuff that I found, which is more of like the real magic mushrooms. It'll be all these Canadian dispensaries or dispensaries in DC if you live around here. I found another dispensary in DC that's actually cheaper, a lot cheaper. It's $40 for an eighth. They do a deal where if you buy 2/8, you get a third one free, and it is a what did they call it? A shroom and bloom. So they sell weed and mushrooms, so you can mix and match. You can get 2/8 of mushrooms. That's not the same as a quarter, but if you get 2/8 of mushrooms, you can get an eighth of weed for free, or an eighth of weed, eighth of mushrooms, and you can take your pick on your free one. So it's mix and match, and they do delivery in the local area if you live around there, or they do curbside. If you make an order, you text them when you're like 5 minutes away, and they meet you out front and drop it off. And that is right in. Shit, I can't think of the damn name of the area it's in now. It's just south of College Park. So I literally would just have to go like down Route 1 and go through College Park and Hyattsville. That's what it is. And right into Hyattsville. So it's not even actually technically in DC, or it's right on the fucking line or something like that. It's on the northwest side. I won't have to go anywhere near the White House. And so that's an option of going down there. You know, if I spent $80 plus whatever the gas would be, I could get 3/8 of mushrooms. You know, buy two, get the one free. But it also seems a little sketchy. And you never know. It's easy enough to set up a website and say, "Yeah, give me your money. I'll meet you out front." I've spent a lot of fucking time waiting for somebody to show up that was going to meet me on the corner in 15 minutes. You know, after they took my money and walked away. So I don't know. We'll see. Better Fish Productions, how are you? Mexicali Fish Keepers, nice. Tuesday at 7:30. $50 when he was 4. Wow. It's in his blood. Northeast side. Yeah, you're right. Northeast side. Did I say northwest? You know, I do that a lot. It's almost like a dyslexic thing. I flip them in my head when I say north, when I say east and west. I do that with right and left a lot of times too. So I'm not surprised I did that. But yeah, northeast. A cricket in your bed eating your ass. Nice. I definitely don't want to go that way. What, like down Route 1 through College Park and all that bullshit? Yeah, that would suck. But my point is it's right, you know. I think a College Park, I guess I shouldn't because it's not really as close as I'm making it out to be. I think a College Park is being like, if I'm driving down Route 1, you drive down Route 1, you go through Laurel, which is where my wife grew up, and then you get on the other side of Laurel and you're in College Park. And then you drive through College Park and you're in Hyattsville. and then you drive through Hyattsville and you're in DC. It's just, it's that easy. You just do that and then you're there. So yeah, you're probably right. Driving all the way down Route 1 through fucking College Park and down to Hyattsville is probably a long ass drive. I guess I could look it up on the Google Maps thingy and see what it says. All right, let me throw some Viber bites in here, and then I'll go get my phone and see the picture that Laura sent me before I forget about that. All right. Get away from those goddamn flashing lights for a minute. Jeez Louise, who thought that was a good idea? All right, let me see here. Oh, there's me, ma'am. So she did see my little ear tug. Nice. Oh, that's awesome. All right, hang on. I wondered what you meant. How cool is that? That is fantastic. I love it. All right. You know what else I love? I love hydration. I suddenly realized how thirsty I am. I bet it's those cookies. And I've had a lot of protein today now that I'm thinking about it. And what do I always tell you? Whenever you eat a lot of protein, you definitely have to drink a lot of water to go with it. Terry, how are you? All right, you guys look at that for a minute. Let me get caught up, and then I'm going to do a puff on my pipe here. Well, when the cricket warriors show up, that's when you got to fucking worry, Zini. Don't worry about crickets, just worry about the cricket warriors. Well, I'm glad you found me again, Terry. Damn horseflies. Get one of those dragonfly things to fly around over your head. I think they work. All right. We'll call that stop sign good enough there. We can stop there. Oh, you changed it to Chris. Maybe I'll finally start calling you Chris. But it bites your ass. What kind of crickets do you have? Crickets don't bite people's asses unless you got a luscious ass. All right, should we move on? No, I'm going to do a hit like I said I was going to do first. Let me drink some of my coffee too. Those cookies are also whooping my ass too. Remember, I ate 3 of them puppies tonight, and I ate them at 6:15, so they are fully on me at this point. And I can tell that is good coffee, but I don't want any more coffee. Let me turn the light out in here too, so I don't think I'm doing anything. All right, that's out. Oh, that's turned off. That's disconnected. All right, I'm back. And we're still getting some murk out of the pond, so we'll let it keep filtering. I think this is going to be my last filter pad we're going to do. I've been running that thing in there all day long. I think the Maryland State Fair is in September, the end of September. I know it's in the autumn, early autumn. I always associate the State Fair with the end of summer. Computer, when is the 2025 Maryland State Fair?
The 2025 Maryland State Fair 2025 in Timonium, Maryland is scheduled to start on Thursday, August 21st and end on Sunday, September 7th.
Okay, there you go. It's starting next friggin' week or something. Some shit like that. I don't even know what today's date is. So there you go. End of summer, definitely. Last week of August, first week of September. Back to school, baby. I'm going to be coughing a lot if I keep hitting on that bowl. It's that stuff I dried really fast, and then I soaked it with some miscellaneous hash oil. I put some pretty good hash oil in it, hoping I could mask the rough nastiness of the weed, but it didn't help. It does give me a really good, powerful hit, but it still makes me cough my head off. It's really rough on the throat. Yeah, crickets are notorious for escaping. Oh, Laura, I saw one of those demonic cave crickets the other day. I opened up my Bilko doors, and there it was on the wall looking at me like a bastard. I hate those cave crickets. They've always given me the heebie-jeebies. I used to, when I was a kid, we used to crawl through, we said the sewers, but it's technically it's not. Sewers are where sewage flows through. What we would go through would be the storm drains and diversionary tunnels. If you had, a stream that flowed and they had to run it underneath a shopping district or something, they'd run a big pipe underneath. And we played in those kind of tunnels, and I knew like underground roots all over the place. I spent a lot of time in tunnels when I was a kid, and man, we come across those bastard cave crickets all the time. We're back there in the early '80s, so we got like candles and shit for light. Crawling, exploring our way through some tunnel, mapping it out, and find a bunch of those goddamn cave crickets all over the wall. Yeesh. I have so much shit on the floor, and I am so stinking high. That is a recipe for going swimming. I've also got so much shit on the pond I'd bounce off all the wood and everything, break a couple of ribs, and land on the floor and crack my skull. So that'd be a hell of a thing to get on camera. Too bad the camera's facing the wrong way. You're going to miss it. Well, Zany, my suggestion would be to take the crickets in their escape-proof container that they easily get out of, and then just put the whole escape-proof container into like one of those size bins, and then put the lid on the bin. That way, if they get out of your escape-proof container, which they will, they'll just get into that bin and they'll just kind of be in there. Now, what they'll do is they'll hide just under the lid, and when you try to open it up, they'll get out. And then they'll still be in your room, but you'll have a better chance of getting them, and keeping them contained. Sort of like a double insulated perimeter. Man, I'm so stoned. Those cookies are whooping my ass. Last night was no joke. I ate 5 of those motherfuckers, and man, I could hardly stand up straight. Not like lost control of my body, like wobbly kneed kind of stand up straight. I just felt exhausted. I felt I couldn't hold my head up. I literally, when I went upstairs, I just shuffled into the living room, my head hanging down. And, yeah, my wife asked me, "Are you okay?" So, yeah, I was, but still, I didn't look like it. Why's it always got to be black and white with you, Zini? All right, what are we talking about? You saw one dead in your basement? Still talking about crickets. Maybe all the spinning, swirling, colored, flashing lights going around are making my head go mad. Because I definitely feel like I'm going to fall down if I keep standing up. All right. Jesus, Danny. You know they did that just to fucking teach you a lesson, right? Like the way a farmer will hang a dead crow up so the other crows see. Were they looking at you in the eye when they were doing it, Zany? Tearing that thing apart and just staring you in the eye while they were doing it? See this motherfucker? You see what we're doing? See this? You want this to be you? You don't fuck with those crickets of any color, especially the cave crickets. They're the scary ones. I wonder what happens if I stand directly under this thing and the room is spinning around me. Oh, I wonder if this will give me Superman powers. I don't think it will. If I had Superman powers, would I have to be all heroic and save the world and be just, fair, and all that crap? Because I think if I had Superman powers, I'd be emperor of the world, Dan. But that's just me. I don't know. Fabulous blue wood lice of death. No, I don't remember blue wood lice of death. If I had Superman powers, you for sure I'd be emperor. I'd let everybody rule themselves. I wouldn't nitpick. I wouldn't be a micromanager or anything. But everybody better fucking get along. That's all I can say. All right. There's a bunch of viber bites going in there as well. Going to do another hit to this bowl. I feel like I've been moving around frantically nonstop since we've started, and I haven't really done a whole lot of any goddamn thing. I keep checking this bucket. I guess that makes it feel like I've been busy, but I'm not really. It's probably the franticness of the feeling of the whirling lights going around me. I know you guys can tell it's going, but you don't see it the way I'm seeing it. Joanne, how are you? Oh, thank you. The angel you're looking at there was a, I don't know. I think it was PetSmart. It might have been Petco, but I'm pretty sure it was PetSmart. And it was just in the assorted veil or whatever, mixed veil, whatever they call it, the veil tail. So it was $6 or something. I got it at the size of a quarter. Um, and I've had her for years. She lays eggs all the time, so I know it's a she. Oh, I got you, Laura. Well, that sucks. Hell of a way to go, though. If I die, I'd like to die fabulous like that. Although I guess if you drink enough of that, what is that shit those people drink? The fucking silver or something or other. Don't drink it. Some kind of silver concoction, and it's actually got silver in it. And it's one of those miracle cures that it's supposed to do everything, the doctors don't tell you about and blah, blah, blah. Again, don't drink it. It's for the wackadoos. It's not real medicine. But if you drink enough of it, it will turn you fucking blue, like blue. Like a Smurf would look at you and say, damn, that motherfucker's blue. So look it up if you don't believe me. What is the name of that fucking, it's silver something. And again, if you do a search for it, you're going to go down the rabbit hole on YouTube in about 5 minutes. Again, you're going to be denying the moon landing and shit. So be careful if you look that stuff up. I cannot remember what the hell that stuff is called. All right, I did not do any work on the minnow tank. Speaking of minnows, I found a dead one on the floor in front of the 125. So we're down to 2 minnows with the 125 today. I did see the larger one chasing one of the small ones. Well, he's doing it again, so it's probably only a matter of time before that small one jumps out too. I knew that was the case when I put them in there. They're minnows. I figured sooner or later they'd be gone. They'd either get eaten or they'd jump out. Such is life. All right, do I want to just leave this running or do I want to call this good? We'll leave it running until I'm ready to sit down and then we can stop it. Exactly. You'll turn into a flat earther in about 6 minutes if you let YouTube start picking the videos for you after you looked up one of those silver, it's like silver chromide or some shit like that. It's some fucking solution. All right, so this tank got a bath today. Got the glass all wiped down, did a huge water change. And if you will notice over here, looks a lot more open. This is where I used to have a big ass mop of that Java Windelov growing on top of that. And it got knocked loose and it was just kind of hanging down here. It was blocking this whole area. And I pulled all that out. And so it's just completely gone. There's a couple pieces that are still attached to it. And that's literally all we need. It will grow back from that eventually. It'll take time, but fuck her, I'm not racing anybody to fill my fish tank in with plants or whatever. It'll grow in eventually. And the main reason I want it to grow in is if you look at this branch, the way it's cut, it's just sawed off at the end, and it just looks very unnatural the way it's in there. I've actually got it in sort of upside down. Technically, that's the bottom, and the branches are facing upwards that way, but I turned it over and stuck it down, and it's a really big forked piece of wood in there with that. Just, I never liked it, and so I always have covered it up with the plants growing over it. So it'll be ugly for a little bit, but it'll also be covered up soon enough. Got nothing going on in here as far as the flowers go, the lotus flowers, but I did get the glass wiped down all the way around. And with the reduction in tannin, we got a lot more light shining into the tank, so everybody's nice and bright and pretty. So let's get everybody fed, and then I'll disconnect the filter we got going on in the pond, and I'll sit down finally for the night. All right, I think I just knocked my. Nope, we're good. I thought I knocked my microphone loose, but I did not. All right, sticking with the Viber theme. I am going to throw some in the shrimp tank, which I'm not going to bother to show you. I'm going to also throw some in the room, shrimp tank in the other room, which I'm also not going to show you. I'm doing that now. All right, so that tank is fed. This tank is fed. And the actual shrimp tank down here is fed. All right, while you're looking at that, all right, I'm going to go ahead and actually I'm going to put you on mute for a moment and use the little fish keeper's room. Hang on half a second here. All right, we are back. All right, we'll be looking at that again here in a second. All right, so first thing we'll do, give you an idea how much water is actually coming out of that hose. So let's unplug the filter, or I mean the pump. I got a little piece of wire here that I got it tied in so that it doesn't slip out on me. Watch out, fish. So I'm going to go put this in the other room. Now remember, that's after all the other, been doing this all day. This is the one I've decided we're done with, and that's actually not too bad considering I got a whole bucket full of these things over here. That's how much filter material I'm going through today. So we can just let that sit here for now. We don't need to worry about that. But I do want to remove this and this. Again, that's just a bucket with the bottom cut out, and that's just a tray for filtering soil. Set one on top of the other, put a liner in the bottom, boom, filter. All right, so that's out of there. I got my two special pieces of wood that go in there. We'll pick those up. Take those out of here. You know, I was thinking about it for a moment when I was having my personal time. I think it might also have something to do with the constant flashing of red and blue lights swirling around constantly. I just think there's some part of my psyche that, you know, red and blue lights flashing is just triggers stuff in my brain. I don't need to be around red and blue flashing lights. It's probably not good for my mental health. All right, let's get that stupid cord out of the way. The pond is done. I am going to sit my arse down for what's left of you guys here. All right, let me grab my pipe. Let me grab my tablet. Let me move this. I actually was prepared to go through all of that filter material too, but we didn't. So I'm going to put this in the other room out of the way. I cut a bunch of pieces of melamine sponge tonight too, so that I'll have that when I need it. I did use several pieces in wiping down the tank we're sitting in front of. All right, I think I did. Yeah, I did knock my microphone loose. Hang on, got a wire back here somewhere. All right, good enough. God damn it! Hang on. There you go. Look deep into my soul. Oh, I forgot. I got a new shirt. It's supposed to be here tomorrow. So if you're a member, then you will get to see the debut of my awesome new shirt. I'm really excited about it. I saw it. I was just messing around, looking at different stuff. And I saw it. I was like, yep, click, buy now. I didn't think twice about it. Actually, I clicked on it so fast that I had to go back and double check, and I realized I'd ordered a size small because I just clicked on the first thing I saw, and I was like, no, I can't do a size small. So I got a size medium. I don't know. I've been kind of going heavy on the candy corn lately. I don't know if I'm going to do how tight a medium is going to be. It might be a little too tight for me, but we'll see. Maybe that'll be my incentive to lay off the candy corn a little bit and get out on the water more often. I would be on the water more if it wasn't for my damn shoulder hurting so bad all the time. Um, but alas, it does. All right, let me get caught up, see where the hell I was. I feel like it's been half an hour since I've looked at comments. All right, there we go. All right. All right, a lot of this does not concern me, I don't think. All right. Just reading along. Say Papa Smurf. I knew that's the guy you're gonna look up. That's why I said a Smurf is gonna look at him and say, "Damn, you're fucking blue." Oh God, white fucking beard and everything, but the blue ass skin, but dark blue. All right, I am caught up. Yeah, what's the name of the silver stuff? If you look that up, it should tell you. And whenever you looked up what silver material they drink to turn their skin blue like that, but that's a known side effect. If you drink that shit and you drink enough of it, your fucking skin will turn blue. If you drink a lot of it, it'll get really blue, like this kind of blue, like dark blue. All right, I'm gonna look it up. You know, if I worried about shit like that, I'd get self conscious about it. Every time I sit down in front of the camera. I hemorrhage about a third of my people that are watching. They're like, oh, there's his face. I'm out of here. All right. AI is going to generate something. Colloidal silver. That's what it is. Colloidal silver, often marketed as a dietary supplement or cure all, consists of tiny silver particles suspended in a liquid. Despite unsubstantiated claims of health benefits, consuming colloidal silver can lead to a condition called argyria, I don't know, some name like that, where the skin, eyes, organs, nails, gums gradually turn bluish gray hue. The Mayo Clinic states that ingesting colloidal silver has no known benefits and is not considered safe or effective. So listen to the goddamn Mayo Clinic if you're not going to listen to me. Don't drink that shit. But it will turn you fucking blue if you do. If you want to be blue and have your organs and livers and fucking gums and shit turn blue, then fucking have at it. I don't give a fuck. I ain't the one that's got to live with the consequences of it. That's you. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. I Hey, 310. Yeah, you're not kidding there, Joanne. Or no more than historians or any other expert in any other field. It's a strange world we live in. That is for sure. Hey, Craig. The bright orange one here and the two yellow ones are albino millennium rainbow fish, and then the dark one is the male, and then the two yellow ones are the females. Um, Crap! I just had something I was going to say. Now I lost it. Oh, we went to the BJ's Wholesale Club the other day, and I didn't even notice it. And my wife didn't say anything about it until after we left. We were on the way home, and she said, "Did you see that huge bag of candy corn there?" And I was like, "What? What? No, I did not." So, fortunately, I'm sure she just failed to mention it. But good for her, because I would have been like fucking Santa Claus, a giant sack of fucking barley over my shoulder, but it would have been candy corn. Because I will fuck up a bag of candy corn. I love that shit. Um, I know a lot of people don't. I almost bought some Necco wafers the other day just so I could have them here on the live stream and just show you all that I really do eat Necco wafers. But those motherfuckers are expensive too. It was two for $5. I was like, I ain't $2.50 for a stack of Necco wafers. It wasn't like a bag of them or something. It was just the little paper rolls I used to get as a kid. It was like a 25-cent roll of candy. Now it's a 250 little stack of Necco wafers for 250. I don't think so. So you will not see me eating Necco wafers. All right, what we are going to see me eating is nothing. What you're going to see me smoking, however, is also nothing. What you're going to see me vaping, however, is going to be some of this super silver haze that I made today. Remember that big ass plant I had that was like 5 feet tall, and I found some mold on it? Well, I cut that down the other day because I found some more mold on it, and I figure I ain't going to get any better leaving it in there. So I cut it down, and I found quite a few pieces that do have or did have mold on them, and I had to destroy them. But I cut around them and I cut the chunks out that didn't have mold on them, and I made a pile of stuff that was, I wouldn't smoke it. It probably still had some mold mixed in with it and whatever. And you never want to smoke moldy weed. But throwing it in my dehydrator and drying it to a crisp, and then throwing it in some hexane and doing an extraction, and then running it through a coffee filter and then boiling it off and whatnot, I don't ever really worry too much about a tiny little bit of mold that might get through in that process, because it's inhaling the spores that you really got to worry about. That's why you don't want to put the moldy weed in a bowl and hit on it. You're inhaling, potentially inhaling mold spores. You really don't want to do that. You don't want to get them in your sinuses or anything else. I'm not going to be inhaling any mold spores that are in this. If I don't think there's any mold spores in this. Anyway, that's what I did, and I got some really good stuff. This is Super Silver Haze. It's got a really nice flavor. It's got a really nice color. And as soon as I hit it earlier, I was just like, it's just got that nice, chill, relaxed effect that Super Silver Haze gives you. So that's what I'm going for now. So I'm quite happy with it. I did get enough stuff that is worth drying, that's going to go in a bag eventually once it cures, and then the rest of it's just going to go in for making hash oil. So I'll have plenty of both here soon. Right now I've got uncured weed, and it's really rough on the throat. That's why we're doing some dabs tonight. I think I'm done with the smoking of the weed tonight. All right. Any questions? Any comments? Anybody want to hear about all the stuff I was reading about the mushrooms I'm going to be doing? And while I can't show you the actual grow bag because that's got to just be left alone and untouched and in a dark area. I can show you the syringe with the spores in it if you want to see what that looks like. It just looks like a syringe with some stuff in it. But if you want to see that, I do have the syringe with the spores in it if you want to see that. All right, Zini. All right, everybody. Let me go see if there's something in here worth pulling down for you to look at, or if it's, I should bring the whole camera in there. I'll just bring the camera in there. I'll probably or in here, in there. I'll just bring the camera in here. We got a bunch of shit hanging. I got something hanging outside. Once I saw that it had mites on it, I just took it outside, cut it down, and it's hanging up drying. So it was close to done, but not. I'll get, again, I'll be able to make some hash oil out of it. This is another one over here that was pretty much, I found mites on it. I didn't find webbing or anything, but I could just see on the leaves that there was signs of mites. And so I cut this down. It was pretty close to done. I mean, those are some pretty sizable buds on this. And I got a lot of them. It's a pretty good sized plant. And it's hanging here, so it's close to my exhaust fan. Any mites that do come off of it, hopefully, just get sucked out. So that's going to be made into hash oil. I don't have to worry about smoking that necessarily. This is my uncured but dry stuff that I can smoke. It's not very good, but it works. This is all stuff that's going to get made into hash oil. That's all stuff that's going to get made into hash oil. This is all stuff that's going to get dried and cured. What else I got going on back here? I guess that's about it. So this is what we're smoking on tonight. It's that same stuff I just showed you hanging up. It's dry, but it is not cured, and it is not good either. So that's what I got going on weed-wise. I'm trying to just let all of my tents get emptied out completely, and I'm spraying them with alcohol. And I ordered more alcohol today, and I realized I'm a dumbass. I use 99.9% anhydrous rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol. It's lab grade. It's anhydrous, so there's no moisture. There's no water in it at all. It's really, really serious alcohol. And then I also buy like 70% isopropyl from the Walmart or 90% isopropyl from the Walmart. And I use that for other things. And I use that usually if I'm cleaning or if I'm going to spray down the inside, like I was spraying down the inside of my tent with alcohol. And I thought about it. I just bought more of the 99.9%, the lab grade stuff for my lab over there. And I bought 4 gallons of it at a time. And if you actually break it down, it's cheaper than buying the stuff from Walmart that's either 70 or 90% isopropyl. So when I'm using the cheap stuff, the Walmart stuff, to spray things down, that's actually more expensive than if I actually just use my good lab grade shit and spray it down. It's cheaper. And so I just decided, yeah, that's dumb. So I'm not going to buy the stuff from Walmart anymore. If I want 70%, I'll take my lab grade stuff. That's effectively, it's 100% isopropyl. Just fill the bottle 70% up, fill it 30% with water, shake it. Now I've got 70% isopropyl. And it's just cheaper than buying it at Walmart. So I don't know why I've been buying the cheap stuff to use as a cleaning agent that actually costs me more money. But that's not always necessarily true. Sometimes it's expensive when you buy it online. When we went through the pandemic and everybody's buying every cleaning supply they could find, that shit got expensive fast. I was spending $80 a gallon on isopropyl back then. So now I got 4 gallons for $66. So that's a pretty good deal. Oh, sweet Jesus, an all chocolate version. That sounds awesome, Cornish. Yeah, with my plants that have mites in them, I definitely don't smoke them. I run those through um, the extraction process. Am I extracting bug juice out of the mites? Maybe. I don't know. It never seems to make an effect. If I gave it to you and didn't tell you it came from mite weed, you'd never know it came from mite weed. You'd say, dude, this is some good shit. So it doesn't bother me. I don't care. But I wouldn't smoke it. Fishy, how are you? Iceman. You leaving or you coming? Oh, I don't know what I was talking about. What was I talking about? Oh, extracting mite juice. I can hear something buzzing. Hang on. I think it's the filter's got some air bubbles in it. I gotta burp it. I'm still not sure that's what I'm hearing. Let me go walk down here a minute. Yeah, I think that's what I'm hearing. Um, I don't know. I've heard a lot of things about different kind of adding predatory mites and all that sort of stuff. I think what I'm going to do is I'm down to just a few plants that are in my vegging area, and I'm literally down to just a few plants that are almost done in their flowering process. The ones in that tent over there have mites on them, and I'm going to let them get as good as they can get before the mites start doing their thing. And so that's all just going to be for hash oil. Whatever I get out of it, I get out of it. And then that tent will be empty. My mid-sized tent's already empty, and my tent that had all those big plants in it, I've started pulling stuff out of there already. And so we got 2 plants left in there that'll come out in another week or so. And that means all my tents will be completely empty. And I've got 2 or 3 plants that I still have. I've got them outside right now because I've been spraying them with insecticidal soap. But I'm thinking about just letting them die off and just starting everything from seed and just starting over and starting from seed. Um, I don't know. I would lose my Hawaiian puff if I did that. I would lose my wicked space, and I would lose that Poochie love if I did that. So, I could always buy those again if I really wanted to, but there's about 1,000 different strains out there I've never tried before. And so, I could I don't know. I feel like if I was going to buy weed again, like to spend money to buy Hawaiian Puff after I've been smoking Hawaiian Puff for 10 years, um, yeah, I just feel like I would be better served by spending my money on some other strain I've never tried before, but I've always wanted to, or something. So I don't really want to let my Hawaiian Puff die off, but at the same time, I feel like I need to just literally let everything die off and start over to get on top of these mites, clean all my tents. Um, I don't know if the mites are just in the basement. I don't know if they get on the cats from the cats being out in the garden and the cats coming inside, or me and the wife being, out in the garden and then coming back inside, bringing them down here. I've been growing for a lot of years, and I didn't have mites on all of my plants all the fucking time for like ever, and now I always do. So there had to have been a time where I got infested with mites, and I've never gotten rid of them. And I just don't know why. I don't know where they came from, and I don't know why I can't get rid of them. No, I don't think a UV sterilizer would. I bought one of those insect foggers for like fogging for mosquitoes out in your yard. That doesn't do shit to them. I have an ozone generator. I tried using an ozone generator. That doesn't do shit to them. It'll kill your plants. It'll kill the fuck out of your plants and probably corrode your lights and everything, but it doesn't hurt the mites. So I've tried the ozone generator. Ladybugs might take care of mites out in the garden. Yeah, Winston, I think that's just going to be the way I'm going to have to go with what I've got hanging up in there that I just showed you, plus what I've got on the plants in there once I chop those down, provided they finish even relatively okay. So far they look good. They don't look like they got mold on them. They don't look like they got mites on them. I think those two plants will finish okay. And I should get a significant amount of weed. And if I do, that will tide me over for the duration of time it'll take to start over. From seed, because we'll be looking at 6 months before I've got weed again if I have to start from scratch. And I don't know if I can store up 6 months worth of weed. I'm going to be going to the goddamn store and buying weed come Christmas time. God, that's going to suck if I have to go to the store and buy weed again. I don't like store-bought weed, and I don't have the money. I can't afford to do it, so I'm trying to grow my own mushrooms. Maybe I can just start doing mushrooms instead of weed. Well, I do too, Cornish. The ones that are all blue were the very first ones I got. The ones with the red stripes on them came next, and then my orange ones were the third ones I got. And hey, Direwolf, by the way, I don't know if I said hello or not, but hello. Well, just because the lights will kill the spider mites and their eggs, how would I apply the light and get it on everything, everywhere, on all over? I can't even get the goddamn insecticidal soap everywhere, apparently, to kill them. I don't know how I'd get light on them everywhere to do that. I'm sure it would kill that on surfaces and whatnot. I don't think it could apply to my situation, though. But I'll look into it if it's an option. I can buy some kind of UV sterilizing light or something. Who knows? Maybe it would help my weed too. You never know. It could. All right. Speaking of weed, I'm going to have a drink of my iced tea. I'm going to start winding down if it's all the same to you guys, unless you guys got questions. I can hang out if you want me to, but again, I just feel like I'm groping around for things to talk about. And it is Sunday night. Never seen bed bugs in my life, I'm happy to say. Well, my understanding with using ladybugs as pest control is that works fine in a garden, but ladybugs aren't like goats that you can rent for the day and then turn them loose in your yard and they'll just munch on whatever food's available. And then at the end of the day, they get loaded back up in the truck, and that way you can get rid of some unwanted brush on your property in a nice organic way. Ladybugs don't really work that way. Ladybugs, if you let a bunch of ladybugs go in a tent, they're all going to fly around trying to get out, and they're going to be looking for hiding places and stuff. a ladybug is going to establish a place to live and a home and all that kind of stuff. And once it's got a little territory and it's going to try to breed and all that, then it's out there feeding and doing all of its normal ladybug stuff. But just letting a bunch of them loose in a tent that's very inhospitable. It's, you know, really hot and brightly lit during the day with no place for them to hide. I mean, they're not just going to like scour all over your plant and eat your mites away. If that was the case, that'd be pretty awesome. I think that would be neat. But I don't really want to buy 1,000 ladybugs and then have 1,000 more bugs in my basement that I now have to figure out a way to get out of my basement because I have a fucking tent full of ladybugs now. But I've always understood that if you've got, you know, problems in your yard or something, you can release a bunch of ladybugs into your garden and they'll spread out and they'll all sort of settle in. Most of them will probably fly away, but a lot of them will settle in and you'll now have ladybugs living in your garden. And I just don't think you'd have any living in your tent environment. Lack of humidity, it's possible. Or they probably just starved to death because they weren't in the right conditions to be feeding. They just looked for a way out until they finally died. So I will not be trying DOS ladybugs. I was going to talk more about what I read and learned about my mushrooms. Again, that's going to be up to you guys. If you're interested in that, you can ask and I can talk about it. But otherwise, I'm not going to keep boring you talking about mushrooms again. But I've been finding it fascinating, this Amanita muscaria stuff. And for any of those of you out there who have purchased the chocolate bars or the gummies or what have you, I have now, if you haven't heard me say it already, I've bought a big bag of the actual mushroom caps and I'm going to make tea. I'm going to experiment with making it some different ways. And if I can have an experience that's even close to what those chocolate bars, because that's a really good experience, the syrup and the chocolate bars, all those products from that Treehouse company, no joke, they're good products, but they're expensive and I go through them fast. And so if I can just buy a big fucking bag of the mushroom caps and then just make tea for myself and drink a cup of tea and get the same experience for $4 instead of, you know, 22, you know, per experience, then that would be a lot better. If I want to buy the shit in bulk, I can buy up to, at least just from this one site. I didn't look around a whole lot, but there was a lot of different places. I just picked the first one that looked good and just bought some. But this particular place I bought it from, it started out at like $15 for an eighth or something like that, and it started going up from there. So I got 60 grams for $50. The next would be 120 for $90. Then it went up, I think, to 250 grams. I can't remember what 250 grams was, but 500 grams was $250. And then a kilo or 1,000 grams is $420. So again, for an investment of a couple $100, I could have like a fucking, you know, a lot of those. A kilo, I don't know how many ounces a kilo is, but it's 2.2 pounds of mushrooms I would get, and it's all caps. It's something like 35 or 36 ounces of them for $420. So I'd have like a lifetime supply if I ever wanted to buy in bulk. But again, for $50 for 60 grams, I could drink tea every day and still have a 3-week supply of the stuff. So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe next time I'll buy the 120 gram, you know, for $90 or something. But if I can get close to that same experience, I'm going to cancel my chocolate bar subscription and my syrup subscription and all that, and I'm just going to buy the caps themselves and make it into tea and do it the easy way. And then, of course, once I get my real mushrooms growing, if that's successful, I'll actually have real psilocybin mushrooms, and that's what I'll probably be taking more often than not once I get them going. because that is a whole different experience. All right, Super Silver Haze again. I got to be careful not to dunk it in there. It's pretty deep. You get it in there too much, it sucks fucking and melts it down, and you suck liquid up into the straw. I don't want to do that. There are different mushroom strains, Bob, but I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. There are different mushroom strains that are actually psilocybin. It's either the psilocybin or psilocin that makes a real, true magic mushroom that makes you see fucking shit melting and taste the colors and all that kind of shit. You need the actual psilocybin or psilocin for that. The ones I'm talking about that are legal are a species called Amanita muscaria, and they have a completely different chemical. It works on your brain in a completely different way, and it gives you this really sort of euphoric, buzzy, kind of happy experience. Some mild visuals, and just this really, it's a pleasant experience. It's really nice. I definitely recommend it. I think it's a good experience by far. But it's not a trip. It's definitely not magic mushrooms the way they're advertised as magic mushrooms. It's just not. Um, what I'm growing in the other room is true magic mushrooms. They got the psilocybin in them, but there's a lot of different species of there's over 200 species of psilocybin mushrooms. Well, that's if I'd let everything die off, Winston, I wouldn't have any females at all. The only way I've got my Hawaiian puff, wicked space, or Poochie love is by continuing cuttings. I got a ton of seeds of other plants. I just those three. If they die off, no more cuttings. I've thought about making a batch of cuttings and maybe letting the big mother plants die off, and then the cuttings will be a little more manageable. I could kill the mites on the cuttings, but I've thought that a bunch of times, and I just never seem to be able to get rid of them. I almost want to just let my vegging area get emptied out and just spray everything down and spray the vegging area down, spray all my tents down. I'm going to hose the fucking joint down with alcohol. Hopefully, I don't explode the house. Um, Here, you guys look at that tank for a minute. I'll show you the one DC dispensary I was looking at going. I'll show you the different mushrooms I have available. This light's gonna give me a fucking seizure again. DC mushroom delivery. Shroom and Bloom. That's the place I was talking about today, where you buy two. We can go to that website. You buy two. I didn't really like this website. So actually, you know what? Let's see if we can find that other one because I like that. Get Mushrooms DC. There's a lot of mushroom. TW Shroom Dispensary. That's the one I was looking at. And they do delivery too. Busy. It looks like it's a risky site, according to McAfee or McAfee, however you fucking pronounce that. Fuck you, McAfee. Goddamn nanny state bullshit. Goddamn. All right, let's try the let's try the Shroom and Bloom. Curbside pickup or delivery. Menu. Let's tap on menu. This is a really slow site. You tap on shit and it takes like 3 minutes. You're tapping on other shit. Like, why isn't anything working? And then it tries to go to the first thing you tapped on after you've tapped on 4 other things, and then it starts catching up on you. It's a pain in the ass. All right, I tapped on menu, but we'll see what happens. All right, all eighths are buy two, get one free. Anytime you purchase two eighths, you can choose another free. Must be equal or lesser value. Mix and match mushrooms and flowers and shrooms. Free delivery on $200 orders. Anytime your total is over $200, your delivery will be free. Your delivery fee will be waived. How to order. Place items in your cart. Proceed to checkout. Select pickup or delivery. Text once you're 5 minutes away from delivery location. So I could pick a location I want them to deliver to. Oh, this is interesting. See, this is actually what the mushrooms I ordered look like. That's the muscaria mushrooms. They're red caps with white on them. But that's not what real psilocybin mushrooms look like. So let's see if we can find a goddamn menu on this place. See, that's what psilocybin mushrooms look like right there. All right. I knew we were going to have problems if we came to this site. Our guarantees, daily deals. I clicked on menu. I wonder if I have to double click. Well, I'm not getting shit on there. Or am I? All right, give me a minute. I don't know why it's not taking me to the other shroomery site. That's pissing me off. It actually showed you the different variety of mushrooms you could get, and it showed you what they looked like. So this time I'm gonna do dispensary. All right, promo code weed. And mushroom dispensary. Let's see what the website looks like there. Shop now. Order. No, I don't want to order now. Menu. All right. God damn it. I got 50% off. Ooh, 50% off. Wow, that's a good deal. All right. Menu. Flowers. Mushrooms. All right. This now we're cooking with gas. So the penis envy is the name of one strain that has been bred. They're starting to breed and crossbreed these different mushrooms like weed. So this is the penis envy. This is an albino penis envy, which is really strong. This is called Bluey Vuitton, and it's a really, really blue strain. There's a strain out there called Blue Meanies. Let's see what else they've got. That's it. That's their fucking menu of mushrooms. They got 3 different strains of mushrooms. And then mushroom shake pills. So you could just swallow some pills and it would be some mushroom shake. And this site still hasn't taken me to a goddamn menu yet, so we're going to just close that one out. Anyway, you get the idea. That other website that it never would take me to, they sold fucking, I don't know, 8 or 10 different strains. So the ones I got are called Golden Teacher. It's a cubensis species. And again, it's a nice beginner species. It's both beginner in the sense that it's easy to grow if you're going to do your first time, grow, or you're not experienced at growing mushrooms. And it's also considered a beginner mushroom for using. It's apparently a very mild, easy to deal with, very low likelihood of a bad trip or anxiety or anything like that. Nice and introspective, a lot of visuals apparently, and that's everything I'm looking for. I'm looking for a nice, easy going time with a lot of fucking cool visuals. I don't want these goddamn blue and red lights to keep reminding me of police cars. I'm gonna start having fucking bad reaction here soon. Oh, Michael, how are you doing this evening? Let me get caught up on some comments back here, figure out where I am. Igor, I don't know what you said, but hello. Michael, hello. I did feed the fish. All right, I'm going to be winding down here shortly anyway. It's almost 10 o'clock. Rainbow fish are doing well. You've had the blue meanies before? Nice. Oh, well, the blue meanies are Australian and New Zealand. That's where they're from. And that's the actual name. That's not like somebody cultivated it and called it the blue meanie. That's what it's always been called back from like the 70s or whenever they first discovered them. When you bruise them or break them, they turn like a really deep blue really quickly. And they're apparently the most potent mushroom ever found anywhere. Now they've started to breed some and they're crossbreeding them and they're breeding them for potency just like they do with weed. And they're actually starting to breed some strains that are now comparable to or even more potent than the blue meanies. So it ain't going to be long before we've got strains of mushrooms where you're actually looking at the percentage of psilocybin and psilocin and all that kind of stuff. The blue meanies have clocked in at over 2%. Between psilocin and psilocybin together, it's been almost 3%, or actually over 3%. 2 point something of psilocybin and 1 point something of psilocin. So over 3% psychotropics in one of the blue meanies. That's a fucking potent ass mushroom. Picked them straight from the paddock. Nice. I bet that was terrifying. Did you have a good trip from them? Yeah, I've seen pictures of how blue they get. It's like octopus ink. I have quite a few clown plecos. I've got the chocolate zebra plecos in this tank. What I saw a clown pleco in my 125. I've got a clown pleco in my office tank. I think there's a clown pleco in my wife's tank. It's either a clown pleco or a rubber lip. But I have one in that tank too. And I may still have a clown pleco in this tank, my 20 over here, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Oh, and I got another clown pleco in my 29 over there. Do I have one in my 55? I might have one in my 55 too, but I'm not sure about that. All right, I guess I can get up into first positions at least. Schrodinger's pleco. That is true. I don't know if it's in there or not until I check. So right now I'm checking. I don't see it. So maybe it's not in there. I'm still bummed that the damn loach jumped out. Who has loaches jump out of their damn aquarium? So if you missed it earlier, I will end the evening talking about the research. I'll call it research, the reading and YouTube videos and stuff that I watched. Didn't actually get out there doing research. You guys know what I mean. So if you want to hear about that, I'm going to talk about the mushrooms, the Amanita muscaria mushrooms, the legal mushrooms, the ones that are not regulated. They're treated the same as a dietary supplement. So the same as like you buy the echinacea that's supposed to be good for your memory, or you buy the beetroot powder that's supposed to be good for your liver, or wherever the fuck they sell that shit for. It falls into that category. So it is perfectly legal. You can buy the shit online a lot, and you can buy a lot of it fairly cheaply, which I've figured out. And I've been looking into the chemistry behind it and what chemicals are in it and how they affect you and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to chat about that for a few minutes to wind down the evening. So if you're not interested in mushroom talk, now would be your chance to say goodnight. And I'll say thanks for hanging out. I hope you had a good time. And if you are interested in mushroom talk, now's your chance to hang out and keep listening. This will not work with this. That will be very terrifying. So let's try this with this. much more suited for each other. Love the disco lights going through the smoke. So the first thing I want to say is offer a little word of caution to everybody. You will see a lot of people apparently. I'm going to sound like your dad yelling at you, but I'm old enough that I can get away with doing that. You are going to see a lot of people referring to these mushrooms that are Amanita muscaria. I always get family and genus and all that shit confused or whatever, but a lot of people will simply refer to them as Amanitas as though they're like on a first name basis or something like that. Don't like there's a lot of mushrooms out there that are Amanitas. There's Amanita this, Amanita that. You make a fucking song out of that. But Amanita muscaria is a very specific mushroom. If you just say Amanitas and you're talking about it as though that's the one you want to make tea out of or whatever, somebody else may come along and find Amanita something else and say, oh, this is an Amanita. These are good for, and then they could eat a mushroom that's potentially much more toxic or whatever. So it's not just Amanita, it's Amanita muscaria. It's a very specific mushroom. It's the one that's got the big bulbous red top with the white spots all over it. It's a very distinct mushroom, very unique. Well, I'm going to be experimenting with the muscaria. I'm finding I don't get the same benefits from the like I was getting when I was talking about all of the depression and all that stuff. I am still feeling benefits, but I think I got more from the psilocybin than from the muscaria. But anyway, um, there's two ingredients in the Amanita muscaria, the legal mushrooms. That we're not talking about the psilocybin, the trippy illegal magic, the real magic mushrooms. The legal ones have two different chemicals in there. One is mucinol, and then the other one is ibutonic acid. So the mucinol is responsible for like the feelings of peace and calm and relaxation. It'll help you sleep. I got a really good night's sleep when I was taking it. So you get all of that from that. But the ibutonic acid, it sort of works against it. One relaxes you, and the other one is sort of like a stimulant. The ibutonic acid can have a stimulatory effect. And from what I was gathering, everybody was sort of talking about getting the ibutonic acid out of there because you got the sort of toxic effect from that. And they never really came out and said it, but my understanding was that that toxic effect you got from it was kind of like the trippy part of it. Without the ibutonic acid, it almost seems like it would be like chamomile tea on steroids, just like super chill, relaxation, sleepy time. So I think I'm going to want some of the ibutonic acid in it to give me that's where the alertness comes from. That's where the sharp mind and thought and creativity and all that stuff comes from that ibutonic acid. So there's got to be a sweet spot. There's got to be a blend of the two, and I think that's what the mushroom, the chocolate and the syrup and all that. They always talk about their proprietary blend of it's probably just a nice. They worked out the right amount of ibutonic acid to mucinol to make it a nice experience. And so I'm going to shoot for doing that. And I know how to do it already. I've looked into it. It's really easy to do. It's easier than working with my weed, honestly. So if everything goes right, my big fucking sack of mushroom caps should be here tomorrow. And 5 minutes later, I'm going to be making tea out of that shit. I even bought myself one of them little little coffee grinders. You take the cap off and just push the button. So I'm going to be weighing it out and grinding it up and doing all the proper method and everything. So I'm going to try not decarboxylating it, see what the difference is, find out if maybe there's a sweet spot, find out if maybe I want to do it straight without decarboxylating because that's the way to go, or maybe like, ooh, wish I hadn't done that. So I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow. So again, if you're a member, hang out, show up Wednesday night for the members live stream. Not only will you get to see the debut of my brand new shirt that will also be here tomorrow. You're gonna fucking love my new shirt. I promise you, it's awesome. And you'll get to hear all about my experience with my mushroom caps, and very least, hopefully, maybe my bottle of syrup that I ordered that's in transit somewhere. Maybe that might still show up. I'm not expecting it at this point, but you never know. It might show up. So we'll see. Let's see. Well, it's not necessarily lab grade. The mushroom can only be harvested naturally. You can't grow it in a lab environment. You can't grow it yourself. You can grow the mycelium, but it will only bloom. It will only send up its, flowers or mushrooms in symbiosis with living trees. And I think it has to be like an oak tree or a few other species. And so it only grows in very specific spots, but it will only send up its mushrooms in symbiosis with living trees in a forest. You cannot make it do it in by culturing it. So there you go. All right, let's see. Psilocybin is definitely better for microdosing for mental health. The Mario mushrooms are better for social situations and partying. I could see the Mario mushrooms, the Amanita muscaria, I could see them being good for social situations. It was a nice, chill, relaxed experience. I was at the BJ's Wholesale Club just grooving on being at BJ's Wholesale Club. I could have said hey to anybody that was in there. I will say, though, I still want to trip. I still want to see shit melting. I want to see colors changing. I want to fucking trip. And to do that, you need psilocybin or psilocin. Psilocybin is very close to psilocin. Psilocin is what actually makes us trip. So when you take the psilocybin, and most mushrooms have a little bit of both, psilocybin gets broken down in your body really quickly into psilocin. So whether you say psilocybin or psilocin, it's psilocin is what's making us trip. And again, most mushrooms, most real psychedelic mushrooms have some of both psilocin and psilocybin in them. The Amanita muscaria do not. They don't have any psilocin, any psilocybin. It's a completely different drug. It's called mucinol and ibutonic acid. It's completely different. Has a very different effect, a very pleasing effect. It's very nice. I like it. But it is definitely not a mushroom trip at all. So we'll see what happens come Wednesday. Way ahead of you, Bob. I've already been wondering about that. I've been wondering about doing a nice low grade mushroom trip, like real mushrooms, and then take some of the mucimol mushrooms and see what that does. I have also considered eating some cookies and getting a really nice, good cookie buzz going on, and then eating some of the mucimol mushrooms. So we got lots of experiments to do. I'm 53 and I'm going to go through a new fucking experimental drug phase. Why the fuck not? The world's going to hell in a fast train. May as well enjoy the ride, right? And I hate the goddamn Grateful Dead, so I was not quoting the Grateful Dead. I guess technically I sort of was, but, not on purpose. All right, everybody. It's after 10 o'clock. If you got questions, I'll take them. I will still hang out for a little while, but it feels like the clock is getting slower and slower every time I look at it. It seems like it's slowing down. It's going to be going backwards pretty soon. All right, I'm going to put this away right now, too. We put all this stuff away. And I will reiterate that if you ever do come across these mushrooms that I'm talking about, these Amanita muscaria, they're fairly common, so they're not hard to come by. If you do find them, do not eat them fresh. You want to dry them out before you eat them. If you eat them fresh, they have way too much of the ibutonic acid in them, and they can actually make you sick. When you dry them out, they basically sort of naturally decarb, and a lot of that acid goes away. And so the dried caps still have some of the ibutonic acid in it, but not nearly as much. In order to get sick from it, once they're dried, you have to eat like a large quantity. I don't know what a large quantity of caps is, but you have to eat a large quantity of the caps in order to get sick from the ibutonic acid after they've been dried. So again, when I get them, I can just take it and make tea directly from it without decarbing it, and it should probably be already decarbed right about to the right point where I get the right amount of both chemicals. Um, Again, I'll try it both ways. I'll try it fresh, not fresh, but I'll try it non-decarbed. I'll try it with the ibutonic acid still intact, and then I'll try it by decarbing it, and I'll do another trip, and I'll see what the difference is. So it should be interesting. So all right, I don't see any new comments popping up, so we can call that a good night, sweetheart. All right, everybody. It is Sunday, so my next live stream will be my members live stream on Wednesday. If you're not already a member and you'd like to be, don't be fooled by the Patreon. You want to go to my YouTube video. If you go under any of my YouTube videos, you'll see a button that says join. Click on that, and you can join the channel for $2.99 a month, and you'll get access to a Wednesday members only live stream. You'll also get access to the Discord server. You get some badges and emojis and some stuff like that. All right, Art, have fun. Well, with the psilocybin tea, that's something a little bit different. With the psilocybin tea, I made that using room temperature. I just ran cold water out of the tap, and I did use some lemon juice for that. That's to extract the psilocybin, though. With this, it's something different with the muscaria tea, because that is going to decarboxylate it. If you put a lot of lemon juice in there, and some of the recipes I saw said go 1-to-1, like 1 cup of lemon juice to 1 cup of water. But the lemon juice mixed in with it will actually pull that acid group off and help decarboxylate it. So there's a reason you put a lot of lemon juice in with the muscaria. I'm not sure what the lemon juice does with the psilocybin. I thought that it helped extract it or whatever, because you don't have to decarboxylate anything in the psilocybin mushrooms. You just want to extract the psilocybin, and you don't need hot water to do that. You can do a good extraction with just cold water. With the muscaria, if you do a cold water extraction and you don't use lemon juice, then you will do an extraction of both the ibutonic acid and the mucimol. So that's what I'm going to do at first. I'm just going to do straight tea, just extracting both of those things. And then I'm going to try extracting it by doing a hot water extraction where I'm going to simmer it at boiling temperature, and I'm going to mix lemon juice in with it. And the hot temperature and acid from the lemon juice should decarboxylate it, so that after 20 minutes or so, when I use that to make tea, it will just be a lot of mucimol in there, but no ibutonic acid. And so I'll do just a complete mucimol experience, whereas the cold extraction will give me a blend of both of those together, and I'll see how they affect each other. So the mucimol by itself, decarboxylated, should be a very low-key, sleepy, again, chamomile tea on steroids, whereas the full extraction with the ibutonic acid should give me more of that spacey, trippy, alert, kind of experience, with that sense of well-being and happiness and, you know, all that stuff that comes with the, you know, I should get the best of both worlds if I get that blend just right. And again, if I think that just straight is too much of the ibutonic acid, I can always decarb it a little bit. You know, I can always find that sweet spot where I can, you know, pull some of that acid out of there, but still leave some behind and find just where I like it. And I should be able to dial it in and get it something really similar to the way that chocolate and the way that syrup, you know, affected me, because that's what I'm going for. That was a really nice experience. If I can get something like that, that would be awesome. In fact, who knows? Maybe I'll get something that's even trippier. Maybe they tone the trippiness down somewhat, you know, because they don't want it to be too much of a trippy experience. And maybe if I do it, you know, a straight extraction, maybe I will see the fucking visuals and be like, holy shit, this is the way to do it. I don't know, but we're going to find out hopefully starting tomorrow. Like I said, that shit should arrive tomorrow and we can go from there. So tune in if you're already a member, as I said, on Wednesday. Otherwise, tune in Friday because you'll hear all about it on Friday too. But you'll just have to wait a little longer to hear about it. But by Friday, you'll get a more in-depth explanation by then, I'm sure. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you all had a good weekend and hope you had a good time tonight. I will see you all soon. Good night.